Assalamu alaikum girls, this is Shadia Shakil and I'm going to teach you Unit 13 of your first year English compulsory textbook. Unit 13 is a poem named Ozymandias and it is written by Percy by Shelley. He was one of the major romantic poets who was regarded as among the finest lyrical and philosophical poets in the English language. Shelley was born on 4th August 1792 in England. His father was Sir Timothy Shelley and his mother was Elizabeth. His major works were St. Irwin or the Rosicrucian and Prometheus Unbound. Now the poem, Ozymandias. I met a traveller from an antique land, who said, two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, the poet recalls meeting a traveller from an antique or an ancient land, and the traveller told him that he had seen two very big, huge legs without any trunk of a statue, and the statue was standing in the middle of a desert. Near them on the sand, half sunk. Half sunk means it was partly sunk. A shattered visage lies. Shattered means broken. Visage means head or face. So near those trunkless legs, there was a head, broken head, which was half sunk in the sand. And on whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneered of cold command, tell that its sculptor well those passions read. The frown on the forehead of the statue and its wrinkled lips, and they were pulled up in a snare, in a snare of cold command. Cold command means the command that the bearer of the person who was portrayed in the statue, he used to give cold commands of beheading people in cold blood, and these passions were very much brought alive by the sculptor, and these passions were the only surviving things about that person, stamped on these lifeless things, stamped forever on these lifeless things. Lifeless things were the stone or the rock from which the statue was carved. The hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. The hand of the sculptor that mocked them, and the heart that fed them. The heart that harbored those passions, जिसके अंदर वो passions थे. And on the pedestal these words appear, and underneath the statue these words were written. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. It was a boastful claim, and it gives us an introduction to the statue. That whose statue was it? It was a statue of a king, Ozymandias, and he was so arrogant that he had constructed so many buildings, huge buildings all around the statue, and in the middle of them he erected his own statue, just for the people to see and despair. Ye mighty and despair. Those who think that they are mighty, they cannot excel me in my excellence, in my mightiness, because I have built all those mighty buildings of that. और फिर उसके बाद the writers comment, nothing beside remains round the decay of that colossal wreck. Nothing beside remains. There was not a single building around that broken statue. round the decay of that colossal wreck. Colossal means huge. Wreck is wreckage. It's the old debris that was there, boundless and bare. The whole desert was boundless, without any measure, measureless and bare, because there was not a single thing, single building on top of that sand. The lone and level sand stretched far away. The lone and level sand, it was all surrounded by sand. So this poem is a sonnet, and a sonnet is a 14-line poem with a fixed rhyme scheme. The word sonnet is derived from the Italian word sonetto, which means a little song or a poem. The poem Ozymandias is a sonnet, so the title refers to a Greek name of an ancient Egyptian pharaoh, Ramesses II, whose statue is the inspiration behind the poem. The poet saw the statue and he wrote this poem. The main idea is the dark reality that power corrupts humans and all tyrants are eventually defeated and reduced to nothing. Or we can say the main theme of the poem is pride hath a fall. The summary of the poem. The poet meets a traveler from a unique far-off land who tells him about a statue that was in the middle of a desert. The statue comprised of a trunk with 2 legs, and its head was half sunken in sand at its feet. The traveler praises the craftsmanship of the sculptor who has captured the facial expression of the king Ozymandias. In making the face, the sculptor's skilled hand mocked up a perfect recreation of those feelings and of the heart that fed those feelings, and in the process so perfectly conveyed the subject's cruelty that the statue itself seems to be mocking its subject. These expressions are stamped forever upon the face of the statue, although both the artist and the king are long gone. Thus sand is termed as the leveler, as it brought down the proud to the level of the humble. The mighty king, who had once been very powerful, is nowhere to be seen. Even his grand statue lies in a dilapidated shape. The answer to the question 1, main themes of the sonnet. There are 2 prominent themes: the transience of power. The ancient statue has decayed, and the inscription only served as a warning that the pursuit of power and glory for their own sake is not only transient, but it is also an illusory, unworthy ambition, even within the seeker's lifetime. The inscription stands in ironic contrast to the decrepit reality of the statue, however, underscoring the ultimate transience of political power. Ozymandias may be the king of kings, but even kings can be toppled by mere grain of sand. Then the second theme is the power of art. Although the king's statue boastfully commands onlookers to look on my work, ye mighty, and despair, there are no works left to examine. The skillful rendering of the statue itself and the words carved along its side they have survived. The poem therefore suggests art as a means of immortality, while everything else disappears. Answer to the question 2, the anatomical condition of the statue. According to Shelley, the statue is monumental but completely wrecked. What remains of the statue is a pair of legs and a broken head. So the face, however, has been sculpted so accurately and artfully that the commanding features, a wrinkled lip and a sneer of cold command, still reflect the arrogance and power wielded by the king. And there is a boastful inscription as well, okay, underneath. Then is answer to the question 3. Tone of the poem. Obviously, the poem Ozymandias has a tone of ironic solemnity. The irony emerges from the juxtaposition of Ozymandias' inflated vision of his power and grandeur, and what survives of it today. It is said that nothing beside remains. The huge statue he had gotten carved of himself to intimidate people is in pieces. No works survive to cause people to tremble and despair. Yet the irony is further accentuated as the inscription on the broken statue boasts, "My name is Ozymandias, King of kings. Look on my work, ye mighty, and despair. Then, the answer to question 4. Alliteration in the poem and purpose they serve. Alliteration is the repetition of a sound or letter at the beginning of multiple words in a sentence or paragraph. There are several instances of alliteration in Ozymandias, including the phrases cold command, the lone and level, and boundless and bare. The alliteration is in the first line here serves to unite the line musically, although the first part of it ends in a period. In the next line, boundless and bare alliterate with the effect of emphasizing the vastness and desolation of the desert surrounding the statue of Ozymandias. Finally, lone alliterates with level and sand alliterates with stretch. The sun stretch far away. The words far away are suggestive of time as well as place. Time continued long after the arrogant Ozymandias lived and ruled and died and was forgotten. His mighty words were no match for eternity. Thus the use of alliteration heightens the irony and throws light on the transience of man. Answer to question 5. Rhyme scheme of Ozymandias. Ozymandias takes the form of a sonnet in iambic pentameter. The sonnet is Petrarchan in the poem, in that the poem is structured as a group of 8 lines octave and a group of 6 lines the sestet. Shelley employs a unique scheme. The standard Shakespearean sonnet uses an A, B, C, D, E, F, G, G rhyme scheme. The first 3 quatrains have steady, predictable alternating rhymes. However, in the end, Shelley uses a very different scheme: A, B, A, C, D, E, D, E, and F, D, F. It is different from the traditional rhyme scheme. Shelley used the mixture of an octave and a Shakespearean rhyme scheme. The purpose of this rhyme scheme is to show the progress of time. As the poem progresses, the old pattern of rhyme is replaced with a new pattern which makes the poem unique in its structure. And the next question, imagery used in the poem. The imagery in the Ozymandias is vivid but limited in scope. The physical characteristics, the one central image, the shattered statue of Ozymandias, the Egyptian king. The physical characteristics of the statue convey the poem's themes, the transient nature of human life, and the ultimate futility of fame, fortune, and power. Despite the vast and colossal proportions of the statue, indications of its former distinction, the figure is shattered and alone amidst an expanse of desert. Okay? The image of the lone and level sands represents the eventual fate of humanity. The implied meaning of inscription underneath the statue of Ozymandias. The inscription has a very important role in the poem. The ruler had engraved on his statue, "My name is Ozymandias, kings of king," or whatever. The arrogant king did not realize that after his death, the same majestic statue would lie shattered, and all that would be left of the statue would be the inscription. The boastful words and the cold sneer are in direct contrast with the statue's dilapidated state. The leveling sand has brought the vain pride of the arrogant king down. Now, the literary devices used in the poem. There are several devices which Shelley used to enrich his poem. Metaphors are used, personification, enjambments are used, consonants are used, and one literary device that should be unknown to you, that is really very rare, is synecdoche. The hand that mocked is still a reference to the sculptor and the work of imitation he performed. This is an example of synecdoche because the hand represents the whole of the statue. Okay? Foolishly, he thought that since he had built it, it would last forever. This is an example of a synecdoche in which the hand represents the whole of the statue. The pedestal of the statue still stands. On it is the message the Ozymandias wanted to leave for posterity. Foolishly, he thought that since he had built it, that it would last forever. Thank you, girls. In case you have any kind of question, you're most welcome to ask me. I'm sending you healthy energy. I'm sending you healing energy. Thank you very much.